Lead the way. Get your rock off my map.
This is amazing! Let's do this.
What is up, guys? It is Lepore here, and we're back with another Thursday afternoon games chat. It has been a heck of a week here at Radford University. Everybody's getting ready, and everybody's frantically running around, packing up for what seems to be going to be a great Thanksgiving break. Yes, oh my God, hopefully all your exams are over. Hopefully you've taken all your exams. Hopefully you don't have any more projects you have to do. But in any case, if you didn't know, I'm Lepore, and this is the Thursday afternoon games chat. Each and every week, I come to give you an in-depth talk about the games I play and some history about them. The podcast airs live on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on RadioFreeRadford.com, and then a week later, it is released on YouTube at youtube.com/Lepore and other podcasting services like SoundCloud and iTunes as a downloadable MP3. And thanks for tuning in. This week's game is Knack. Knack is a PS4 game, and I just, I beat it like a week and a half ago, and it is a kind of an underrated game. It was not the biggest hit. It came out in November of 2013, and in Japan at February 2014, and it's supposed to show the power of the console itself. Shuhei Yoshida, president of PlayStation Worldwide Studios, he mentioned in a comment, Shuhei Yoshida expressed disappointment at Knack's critical reception, hoping that the game would receive scores in the mid-70s. However, he emphasized that Knack was not the type of game reviewers would score high for the launch of a next-gen system, the PS4, and instead the game was a message that the PlayStation 4 was not just trying to cater only to the hardcore gamers. Like when I say those of you that are listening that are not gamers, when I say like I'm a gamer or I want to be a video game journalist to somebody, like their first reaction is like, depending on their age range, their first reaction is like, do you play Minecraft? No, I'm sorry. Do you play Call of Duty? No, I'm sorry. Do you play GTA 5? No, I'm sorry. What do you play? Just like there are so many movies and there's so many choices of music out there. There's also so many choices, and there's a lot of choices of video games you can play out in the world, whether you're on PC, PS4, Xbox 360, the list goes on. Game Boy, if you still play the Game Boy, that's great. Who doesn't like the Game Boy? Like, I'm serious. Like, this is one of the best handhelds ever. But I still love my PS Vita. I'm sorry for you guys out there that don't like PS Vita or never heard of PS Vita. Well, get in touch, get my information, and I'll tell you exactly what the PS Vita is and how great it is and how much money you should spend on it. But Knack, on the other hand, Knack is a platforming beat-em-up video game developed by Sony Entertainment Japan Studio, which is known for a Gravity Rush and funding games like Loco Roco or Patapon, those type of games, those type of PlayStation games that Japan Studio is known for. They make a lot of fantastic games. They also, I'm pretty sure they also helped make, where's the name? The Souls game, one of the Souls games. What's the Soul game for the PlayStation 4? Can't remember. The Soul game for the PS4, and the game released on November 13th, November 2013, and February 2014 in Japan. The player navigates the titular character Knack through a series of levels viewed in a fixed camera, third-person style view. Now, with this camera view, I really did not like the camera angle they chose for Knack. I wish it was more. I wish they used the right thumbstick so you can change the controller around, because in the game you only have basically three buttons you primarily hit, and those 4 buttons consist of X for jump, square for punch, and the left thumbstick for moving around. But the other buttons, like the right thumbstick, is for evading, so you like dash to the left, dash to the right, dash in any angle, and then the circle button was for superpowers, actually. So like you would have these abilities, and they were kind of cool for the most part. One was like you would dart people with rocks. Well, Knack is made up of these gems, these type of gears, these items that are what made up and run the world now, which is kind of strange, but they're called like touchstones or whatever, and they keep the world up and alive, and they're trying to constantly find more of these stones to find the secrets that lie within them, because there's like some magical forces and some powers. With the buttons being one of the problems of the game, the next problem of the game was how hard it was. It was even on easy mode, and this is me talking as a gamer. Even on easy mode, the game is really, really hard. The game beats you up, and if you don't know how to play it, you'll never learn, because I bought this game, let me see, a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago with Wolfenstein at Second and Charles, I think that's what it's called. And this game was super cheap. They're selling it for like $10 or $19, I forget. But the game didn't sell well. Let me go to the it got a 54 out of 100 on Metacritic. That is saying something, because Shuei Yoshida said the game got a 7. But this game was meant to be a test, I think. Overall, it was meant to be a test, and I hope the sequel they made this year, they actually made a sequel for Knack. It's Knack 2. In Japan, it's called Knack's Adventure, I believe, and which is actually kind of cool. They always get different titles than us. But overall, the game is really difficult, and it's meant to be, of course, it's meant to be marketed for younger audiences, but also audiences that remember playing Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, Jack and Dexter, and he said it has a little bit of God of War in it too. But let's talk about the plot real quick. War has been brought against mankind by a resurgent species known as goblins. When I first saw the goblins, I thought of Nasty Nork. If you ever played Spyro, there's 2 Spyro games where he's in. It's Spyro, and I think it's just Spyro. I think it's Spyro the Dragon. I think that's literally the title. Spyro the Dragon and Spyro. God, man, the name is coming to me. God, I can't. I need to write these names down. So, anyway, goblins are known to be like the bandits or enemies in all these type of smaller games like that. If you played video games before, usually it's the goblins that you have to hunt down and beat up. It's relics that Knack is attached to. So these doctors made this doctor. It's basically like Frankenstein. The doctor is Frankenstein, and Knack is the monster. But in this case, it's more it's more colorful in the way they do it, and the reason why they use these relics, these stones that Knack is made up of. If you look up a picture of Knack right now, you'll notice that he's all covered in like these stones, relics. They're relics from an ancient time, but if you look at them, they're made up of relics because the PS4, they're trying to show off the PS4's power. That was the initial idea, trying to show off the PS4's power through these relics. And when the relics would move, he would when you press circle and you press square, you do a stomp, your relics go all over the place. And then when you do a circle and then triangle, you do your power, which is a tornado move. You do a tornado move and you run around and try to attack people with flying rocks. And then there's also circle, which I believe is circle. And then that's basically just throw your rocks at them, and they hunt them down. They track them and then they hunt them down. And I prefer using that super, but the game is overall to demonstrate the graphics of the game and how many pixels the game can actually fit on it. You'll notice with like some newer games, you'll start seeing some graphics go up and down, and that is because of it's almost reaching its max capacity, because this game did come out in the PS4 did come out in 2013, and that is now older technology. But let's get back into the plot. Dr. Vargas studied ancient relics from a long-lost civilization for many years and has found a way to bind them together and give them consciousness, the relics, in creating Knack. The result is Knack as a creature with mysterious powers. He can incorporate more relics into his body as he finds them, which allows him to transform from a 3-foot-tall creature into a gigantic wrecking machine. Now, with that, so you don't manually get to turn into a small, very like ant size, almost not really ant size, almost like a toddler size. You don't get to turn into like a toddler size creature. Or almost like, a taller-sized creature. But you can't automatically just turn into a gigantic guy, which I find a little bit nerfing. Only you can do that with a glass power. So what Knack can also do, not just collecting relics, he can also collect wood, and he can also go to a fire while he's wearing lumber essentially on him, and he go to a fire and it'll turn to flames and it can melt ice. But you can also wear ice too, so you can wear ice for extra protection. Usually this stuff is only for extra protection. There's also a crystal one where you can turn into a crystal and then walk through lasers. That is kind of cool. That is the only mechanic where you can actually turn into a giant Knack into a smaller Knack. That is the only way you'd hit circle to switch back. I think it was circle, yeah. But it was okay. I mean, I wish the game had a lot of improvements, and I still haven't played the second one, so it might have had some of these improvements on it, but I don't think it's sticking with the not manually switching type of size you are, because if you're a giant guy and you can't just go through every level unless they built every level like that. But for example, one thing with Spyro the dragon, you would be this small dragon, this small purple dragon named Spyro, and for the longest time, until the very last official game, not counting Skyrim, not Skyrim, Skylanders, not counting Skylanders, the last official game, Spyro, The Legend of Spyro: Dawn of the Dragon, that was the first game where you could fly on demand. You can be like, I want to fly in this level. Well, go ahead. You can fly in this level. You can fly anywhere you want in this level. Now, it didn't give you the choice to it did give you a choice, but it didn't give you a choice to go to every single level just by walking anymore. So you can't go through every level just by walking anymore. So you still have a slight choice, but I love the games that give you that choice. But the thing with Spyro is that Spyro's been out since 1998, and that was the first game released, 1998, maybe later. But when the game released, Spyro would just glide. That's all you would do. You would just jump up and glide for the longest time. They made PS1 games, PS2 games, PS3 games, one PS3 game if you just count the official one, and then Game Boy, and then DS games, and GameCube games. They made a ton of these, but now in this very last game you get the choice to fly. So I hope they try to dabble in that a little bit further down the line with changing relics into different sizes, because that was kind of irritating in the game, and that was something that I wish they would have done better with. So the Doctor believes that Knack will be an invaluable asset in the war against the goblins until it becomes clear that an even greater danger is posed by elements of the human community. Oh, so basically the goblins and the humans are in a war. Well, the goblins want to cause a war against the humans because the humans basically kicked them out and took over. It kind of reminds me of something else, Thanksgiving. Oh my god. But it's a good story, and if you haven't played the game, or if you have played the game, reach me at Dyanslegos on Twitter and tell me what you think about the end credits of the game if you have played the game, because those are some funny end credits. They only bought the rights to that one song just to be in the credits, which I thought was hilarious, which was very, very funny. But Knack was envisioned as a PlayStation 4 equivalent of Crash Bandicoot title. Knack was the first PS4 game shown to the public. Sony Computer Entertainment decided to do this because they wanted to prove that the PS4's launch lineup did not exclusively consist of big-budget first-person shooters. Because of Knack's initial similarities to the successful Crash Bandicoot series, Sony Computer Entertainment felt it would be a smart business decision to heavily market Knack as an essential PS4 title, and they definitely marketed it as a essential PS4 title. Some critics question the decision mainly because of the fact that the business tactic has been employed by Sony before to promote the launch of the game. Sony Computer Entertainment and Japan Studio released a free mobile game called Knack's Quest on November 6, 2013. The game is a tile-matching puzzle game for the iOS and Android devices. The game allows connectivity with players on the PlayStation Network accounts to unlock special relics within the main game. Knack was released in Japan as Knack's Adventure at the PlayStation 4 launch on March 20th, 2015. So they changed the name. I guess that's the new one. I guess that's the new one. They changed the name for it. I don't know why, but I actually played that puzzle game before I got Knack, which was a really, really fun puzzle game. It was kind of interesting because you would connect it, like I said, you would connect it to your account, and you could play tile puzzle games, and you can get relics within that tile puzzle game to unlock exclusives in the Knack. Because when you first open up the Knack screen, it is so bare. It is so bare. You have a new game, a continue, load game, and then you have settings, which is actually pretty bare, to be honest. But when you beat the game for the first time and you start collecting stuff, you'll unlock more within the menu. Nathan Drake, Uncharted 4 did something like that. It wasn't as bare, but they added more when you got further into the game, just to keep you playing and extra more content, because they want to keep you playing the games you love, essentially, even when you think it's over. But it's with no additional cost. I mean, all you need is a smartphone, and pretty much everybody has a smartphone by now. If you don't, I understand. I understand. I was at a track phone, and those are the good lives. But let's go into what the critics really think about it. Steve Butts of IGN gave the game a 5.9 out of 10, praising the concept and the hero, but criticizing the gameplay and the story by saying Knack's shifting size is a great idea that never really grows into anything substantial. Get it? Never really grows into anything substantial. Tom McShee at GameSpot gave the game a poor rating of 4.8 out of 10, praising some elements of the game, such as the environments, but also criticizing the story and gameplay. McShee said there's not one element of Knack to rally around to excite you, and without that special something, Knack crumbles just like its pitiful protagonist, which is kind of sad. And I agree. I definitely agree. The story needed some work, and it was very confusing how anything got happened. And sometimes a plot doesn't make any sense, and the ending of it actually reminds me of the ending of Star Wars. I think Empire Strikes Back. Maybe I think it's Empire Strikes Back. It reminds me a lot of what is the awards ceremony. Sorry, I'm not with Star Wars today. But the scene where they got the awards for doing the giant battle, and I think destroying the Death Star. It kind of reminds me of that scene from Knack. On the other hand, Game Informer gave the game a 8.25 out of 10, stating that it's not the most innovative or the most visual dazzling game. This won't be one you put in the oh my god, this is the one you won't put in to show off your new console to your friends. However, when you're done with the prettied up versions of the big franchises, you'll find yourself wanting to return to Knack. And I did. Personally, I returned to Knack. It's got charm and heart and offers a whole lot of good gameplay. Ultimately, that's still what's important. No matter which generation you're on, it comes down to gameplay and just having fun with the characters you love, and meeting new characters, because not every game you play has to be either a sports game or first-person shooter. Let's be honest. Try new things, and try out Knack is what I would recommend if you haven't, or at least try out the Uncharted or Crash Bandicoot, or if you're looking for a really, I'm sorry, I'm naming all Naughty Dog games here, but if you're looking for a really, really good game, I would suggest playing The Last of Us. Maybe we'll talk about that next 2 weeks. I won't be on for Thanksgiving break, since I won't be here at Radio Free Radford, but I will be on 2 weeks from now after this for another game. And if you guys have any suggestions on games I should talk about, please notify me. But overall, that is pretty much it for Knack. And again, just try expanding your genre of games a little bit, because everybody loves Tetris, but playing Tetris all the time can get pretty boring. I know I had a clunky Game Boy. I still have a clunky Game Boy. One of the original from the 80s. The 80s. Stranger Things. But I still have a clunky Game Boy from the 80s. And even though I'm not from the 80s, obviously, I'm 19. But playing Tetris was like one of the only games I had for that specific console. And playing that all the time is not that fun. Soon you just get tired. You can beat the game, but it takes a really long time and a lot of patience, and you have to be super fast with those big buttons. But again, try out indie games. Try out third-person games. Try out platformers. If you need recommendations for games to play, hit me up on social media. Just Dylan Lepore or Dyanslegos. Anywhere you do a Google search, you'll find me. Just Dylan Lepore, Google search, or Dyanslegos, Google search, you'll find me. YouTube, you name it. In case you didn't know, I'm Dylan Lepore, and this is the Thursday Afternoon Games Chat. Each and every week, I come to give you an in-depth talk about the games I play and some history about them. The podcast airs live on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on RadioFreeRadford.com, and then a week later, it's released on YouTube at youtube.com/Dylan Lepore and other podcasting services like SoundCloud and iTunes as a downloadable MP3. And thanks for tuning in. And remember, try out new games. Hit me up on social media, Instagram. I don't do Snapchat. I never will, never have. Twitter, Dyanslegos, Facebook page, Dyanslegos, Lepore, YouTube. I constantly make videos and podcasts, and I write. And now I'm also the new editor-in-chief of the Tartan, and I love video games. So if you are looking for a fun time in video game history and a small in-depth look at video game history and whatnot, make sure you tune in next 2 weeks from now. And I'll come back to you with some history and some information about the game that I play. I only have 30 minutes, and that's all I need. Thanks for tuning in again, and this is Dylan Lepore, signing off.
Lead the way. Get your rock off my map.
This is amazing. Let's do this.